Welcome to the most fired up and most friendliest club on the planet. It is so wonderful to see everybody here in person. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Does that help?
Yeah.
A little bit? Thank you, Bob. See this? This is why it's a well-oiled machine. In any event, we've got an exciting program for today and can't wait to get started on that. But in the meantime, I would like to ask Ron Fitzsimmons if he could lead us in prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the singing of God Bless America. Ron?
Dear Lord, being in Rotary allows us to serve others. We ask that you help us remember always the four-way test as we work today and every day. Help us to serve humbly and willingly as we focus on the needs of our community. Thank you for our gifts and help us to use them wisely. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Through the night with the light from above,
From the mountains
to the prairies, to the oceans, where we go. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you very much, Ron. Outstanding. It sounded like the voices over at this table. It's almost like a quartet. Are you guys doing some practice? Okay, you're sounding great. It's amazing. Very good, Paul.
A little lower next time.
Could I ask, this was a big weekend in terms of college baseball for those that follow it. And I would like to just give a shout out to anybody associated with or a fan of the NC State Wolfpack. They beat, I'm an SEC guy, and I certainly thought Arkansas was a shoo-in, but NC State went up there and beat them in their house. Utmost respect for NC State, and wish them well. The World Series starts on Saturday, so it's going to be exciting. It's great to see one of our local teams get in there. So congratulations to NC State. I'd like to now introduce a guest, a very special guest, Darren Guy. Thank you for bringing in Mike Triolo. Mike, great to see you. Appreciate you being here today with us. Mike is the owner of Nerds to Go, and most everybody knows what that is, but I'll tell you, it is a computer repair operation. Really, more than that. It's a full spectrum electronics, whatever it is that needs to be repaired or fixed. Mike is the kind of guy. His team will go in, diagnose, resolve, fix it. Important business, pretty much for anybody that has a computer or anything else, right, Mike? Am I correct? Great.
Yeah, you hit it on the head.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here. Darren, thank you for bringing Mike. I appreciate it. And now, could I ask if Renee Spell could come up? Renee has an announcement or an announcement and a half or something good for sure.
Thank you, Scott. I just wanted to remind everyone of the invitation, the e-invite we got via email regarding our installation of new officers banquet on June the 29th, Tuesday night. We will be meeting there versus here that day, so you won't come to lunch. But if you've not responded, please do. Just let me know one way or the other. We've got an exciting program planned and just would like to have everybody together again and let's do something fun. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me just add to this. You know, Renee comes up and makes the announcements, does a spectacular job with that. Let me tell you, the work that goes into putting on one of these events, it's not like pressing a button. You've got several people you're dealing with, like people like me, which is not the most exciting for sure. But Renee is such a professional here. And I would hope that if you're open on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, that you seriously consider participating in this very important event. It's an important event for our club because, you know, transfer of leadership will take place. And what better way to do that than amongst our own club members. And so it'll be a fun evening. It always is. You folks that have been there before know. It's a special night. So I'd ask that you take a look at your invites and please respond. Renee's tracking. And so we hope we have a really well-attended event. And I know I can count on you for that. Very excited about it. And now.
We're not going to Zoom that one.
No.
Okay. Good.
No, that's all in person, no Zoom. The question was, are we going to Zoom that? No, we're not. That is all in person at Preston. Thank you, Bruce.
I was just hoping these guys could, you know, come on out.
I hear you. We're getting there. And so it gives me great pleasure at this point to ask Jim Lovejoy to make an announcement. Jim, you were dozing off over here. I saw you. Come on. I know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so happy to be here. Thank you, President Scott. As you walked in, if you came in the right door over here, you saw that we have some T-shirts in. If you've ordered them, your name is on it. If not, we have some extras because we had to do a minimum order. And also, there's some dress shirts out there that were left over from a previous campaign that are medium. 2 of them are medium and 2 are 2XL. So if anybody is 2XL dress shirt or medium dress shirt, we can make you a special deal. And also what you saw on the table while I'm up here and have the floor, the little cards for our Smile Amazon. It's a no-brainer. If you go smile.amazon.com instead of amazon.com, and it'll give a list of charities, tick off our charity, the Cary Rotary Charitable Foundation, and a percentage of everything you buy goes into donation. We get checks 4 times a year, typically $20, $25. I'd like to see that get up to where we're getting like $100 4 times a year. Anyway, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim, for that. Jim is head of our retail store operations for Rotary. Thank you, Jim, for all you do. Very much so. And so now I'd like to ask, oh, wait, I've got an announcement. Oh, yes. Let me first thank Kevin Peach, Neil Lagarde, Chris Walker, Harold Bennett. Those 4 people, those 4 represented our club at the Boys and Girls Golf Tournament down in Southern Pines area. And we got a nice letter from Charlie. Charlie puts this tournament on. It's a very well-attended event. He sent the club and Neil specifically a note. Thank you very much for your support of Boys and Girls homes and getting your Rotary Club involved. Hope you come again next year. Please thank your club. Sincerely, Charlie. So thank you to our 4 players. I understand the final results are still under full audit. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get word on how it finished.
George has got it.
And so with that, I'm going to ask for who's got a miracle moment out there that we can hear. Harold.
My wife and I celebrated our 35th anniversary yesterday.
Congratulations. Neil Lagarde.
Yes, I took the weekend off and celebrated Lori's birthday. I won't say what number, but celebrated her birthday, which was Sunday. We're kind of finalizing it as far as with our daughter.
Outstanding. We'll do one more in person. Jim?
Son was mountain climbing in Colorado and got caught in an avalanche with a large rock hit him in the head, destroyed his helmet. He's had 21 stitches. But the miracle moment is he's okay. He's limping and he's a little sore.
Wow. All right.
This is Ron Fitzsimmons. I have a miracle moment.
Thank you, Ron. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're celebrating our 62nd wedding anniversary on Monday.
That is awesome. Congratulations, Ron and Prudence, correct?
Don't, come on.
That's correct. 62 years.
Right. Awesome, 62 years, outstanding. And so now we get to move into a special program for today. Very excited about this, and I'm going to ask our host for today's meeting, Sal Camerata, to introduce our very special guest for today's program. Sal?
Yeah, thank you, President Scott. The pandemic has affected us all in many ways, but have you thought about how it's affected tourism in North Carolina? Today's speaker, Dana Grimstead, is going to speak to us today about the climate of tourism in North Carolina. Dana is a tourism marketing manager for Visit NC, a division of the Economic Development Partnerships of North Carolina. She has over 10 years of travel industry experience working in the areas of marketing, communications, social media, and email marketing. Dana has an exceptional ability to combine storytelling with strategic objectives and research-based interviews, while attempting to decode the patterns of human connection and how brands and marketing help us fulfill our lives. Dana is a long-term resident of North Carolina and a graduate of App State. She presently resides in Durham with her partner and son. Please join me in welcoming Dana Grimstead.
Thanks so much, Sal. I'm excited to be here with you guys today to talk about Visit NC and what we do for the state. Our primary goal is to attract visitors to North Carolina and to get them to come and visit, not just once, but again and again, and then also retire here or move here, anything that spurs economic development in North Carolina. So I'm going to share my screen. Are you guys seeing the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Let me make it full screen. All right. First, I'd like to touch on the foundation, the pillars of North Carolina, the core of what we aspire to do and everything at Visit NC on your behalf. And our pillars are inspiring and unifying messaging, unify and lead the industry, inspire state pride and advocacy, high standards, and accountability. With those pillars in mind, there are also very specific areas of focus and emphasis you'll see reflected in everything that we do. Consumer understanding, to invest in research and use insights gained to smartly inform and craft our strategic approach and target and time our messaging. What makes them tick, what inspires and motivates them, how are their attitudes and behaviors changing, making sure we maximize every dollar we invest in inspiring travel to the state. Another focus is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Redouble the efforts to reflect North Carolina's rich diversity and welcoming nature in everything that we do. and how we do it as well. Third is sustainability, champion the preservation of North Carolina's natural environments to help ensure the use, enjoyment, and benefit of the state's much desired recreational resources for future generations. Partnership, maximize the effectiveness and efficiency of all resources available to Visit NC through collaboration with NC's industry partners, trusted allies and vendors, and other like-minded brands. And last, accountability, measure, assess, optimize, and repeat. In addition to our traditional research program of work such as visitor spending, economic impact, and visitor profiles, the CARES Act stimulus funding has allowed us to significantly ramp up our investment in research. So some of the research that we've been investing in is the resident sentiment study, the portrait of the American traveler, the Black traveler study, destination analyst coronavirus traveler sentiment study, which gives us weekly reports on the traveler sentiment, meeting and convention travel study, and Zardico's operating system and dashboard. Some of the key takeaways that we've gotten from this research, 4 in 10 US travelers are interested in visiting North Carolina. Interest in travel to NC is second only to Florida among primary competitive sets. Outer Banks, Charlotte, and Asheville rank among top national destinations of interest among our prospective NC travelers. Millennials and more affluent households are showing greater interest in North Carolina. There's a positive perception of NC as welcoming and inclusive, and sustainability is a difference maker for many travelers to North Carolina, and they anticipate that climate change and overcrowding influences their future choices. Statewide visitor spending for 2020, as expected, the pandemic has taken a terrible toll on the tourism industry, and we are now using tourism economics as our source of visitor spending due to the restructuring of the U.S. Travel Research Department. Direct spending, visitor spending in 2020, domestic and international travelers spent $19.96 billion across all 100 North Carolina counties. That's a decrease of 31.7% from the year prior. The pandemic has essentially taken us back to visitor spending a decade ago. So you can see here in 2010, we were at 18.69 billion. So it's taken us back to a decade ago. On average, visitors to NC spent about 55 million per day in North Carolina in 2020, and that's down from 80 million per day in 2019. Direct tax receipts as a result of visitor spending decreased 26% in 2020 and dropped to levels of 2012 and 2013. Local tax receipts as well decreased 21% to 906 million, to about the levels seen in 2014. In 2020, more than 4.9 million per day on average in state and local tax revenues is generated daily in North Carolina as a result of visitor spending, and that's down from 6.5 million per day in 2019. In 2020, each North Carolina resident saves approximately 170 in state and local taxes as a direct result of visitor spending in the state. This is down from $224 in 2019. In 2020, each North Carolina resident saves approximately 170 in state and local taxes as a direct result of visitor spending. This is the stat that I just went over and a glance at it in a chart form. Direct tourism employment in North Carolina is also down. It decreased 26.4% in 2020, dropping back to pre-2010 levels after 9 years of increases. tourism still directly generated over 178,000 jobs to North Carolinians last year. And on average, every 111,000 spent by travelers to North Carolina in 2020 directly supported one of those jobs. While the impact of the pandemic was devastating on the economy, North Carolina fared well in terms of market share of visitors last year. Market share for domestic visitor volume was actually up slightly from 2019, from 3.5% to 4.1%. This slide shows that out of all travelers within the US last year, NC received a higher percentage of them than in previous years. The types of leisure travel expected this summer, so this is a questionnaire that we got with destination analysts, and we asked which types of leisure trips or vacations, if any, do you expect to take this summer? And you can see that 46.3% say a relatively low-key and close to home escape, whereas 40.7% are interested in a more involved trip with longer stay, nicer lodging, and an interesting location. 9.5% want to do that bucket list experience or a trip of a lifetime type vacation, and 22.5% came in saying they didn't want to do any of these. Observed issues on most recent trips. How much do you agree or disagree with the following statement? On my most recent trip, it seemed like businesses in the NC travel industry were having trouble providing adequate service to travelers. 9.8% strongly agree with this, and 30.7% agree, whereas neutral were at 32% and disagree was at 20.3%. And strongly disagree 7.2%. We have been waiting to update our marketing for a year now. We traditionally are in the inspiration and planning mode, but the past year we shifted our focus away. But we are no longer miles away from igniting travel's economic engine. We are now at a place where we can fully support and respond to pent-up travel demand, that of which is higher today than it's ever been since our industry started tracking national traveler sentiment back in 2007. Greenlit, we are back in business inspiring travelers to North Carolina. And on behalf of Visit North Carolina, I'm excited to unveil Get Back to a Better Place. This is our comeback campaign, which we launched April 12th. The challenges that we've seen from the past year brought an extraordinary opportunity to North Carolina, and we responded together. During lockdown, the legislature responded quickly by providing us the funds that led to the creation and deployment of Count on Me NC. This program was embraced by all 100 counties across the state, setting the stage for North Carolina to not only protect our coveted position as being the 6th most visited state, but also in capturing a greater share of pent-up demand. NC currently ranks 14% higher than the national average among states that travelers want to return to. This is a glance at Count on Me NC campaign as we progress into this summer. If you recall, or if you've seen this little guy, Sonny, he started off last year being chased around by the coronavirus, which was like a pesky little fly buzzing around his head. And only when he put on his mask and washed his hands and stayed 6 feet apart did he escape that pesky fly. And we've used Sonny throughout the year to just help travelers and help residents become comfortable with moving around within the state. We used Sunny during the holidays. Sunny had a package that he opened during the holidays. Sunny did a little bit of fall travel where he had adorned binoculars and went out and peeped at the leaves as they were changing colors. And this is Sunny this summer as he's helping to bring summer back to North Carolina. And of course, Sunny loves summer. Who wouldn't with a name like that? Plus, there's baseball games, music festivals, and brewery crawls to look forward to, especially now that there's a vaccine to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And you can see Sunny's got his little Band-Aid on where he's gotten his vaccine. Sunny heard that message in the Bringing Summer Back campaign from the NC Department of Health and Human Services, then got the shot and is now ready for safety first travel across North Carolina. We hope that you guys are on board too. This slide shows the shifts in our messaging. We started off prior to the pandemic focusing on first that last, a real emotionally tied campaign that encouraged travelers to visit North Carolina to experience a first, and then to come back time and time again to experience more firsts that last in North Carolina. When the pandemic hit, we shifted into Count on Me NC to help people recreate and move around safely within North Carolina, and just to know which businesses followed certain guidelines and took the pledge that you could count on them to help mitigate the spread. Around the same time, we noticed that travelers and residents were recreating quite a lot outside. So we created a campaign called Outdoor NC and Make It Your Nature, which encouraged travelers to recreate responsibly. We partnered with Leave No Trace Foundation, which has 7 principles from what to do with fire, from staying on the trail, from where you can camp, and what to do with wildlife should you encounter it. And it's really trying to make these spaces, protect these spaces, and keep it sustainable for future generations to come. This spring, as we saw people starting to travel a little bit more, we created a drive-through vacations campaign that highlighted about 7 areas across the state that you could view from the safety of your own vehicle. So if you wanted to get out there and travel, but you weren't quite comfortable yet going into a restaurant or staying in a hotel or getting out and even exploring the attraction, we created these experiences that you could do from the safety of your own vehicle. But then we also encouraged, should you get a little bit more adventurous, that you could hop out and also experience these on foot or a little bit closer. And then that leads us in to Get Back to a Better Place. All of these, paved the way and seeded the Get Back to a Better Place, our inspiration campaign, which we launched in April. There were several campaign launch triggers. The 3 triggers for us as we look to determine the optimum time for getting back to inspiring travel in our messaging. The first being the easing of restrictions. The second is travelers are ready to plan and travel. Longwood's travel sentiment tracking study last week reported 89% of travelers have travel plans in the next 6 months. This is the highest percentage since the pandemic's onset. The study also tells us travelers are increasingly feeling safe and local residents are increasingly welcoming to visitors in their communities now. And the third trigger for launch was related to travel and safety confidence. Reported this week in Destination Analyst Sentiment Tracking Study, of those who reported receiving a vaccine, over 70% say they are now fully vaccinated. This combined with optimism for the future, 47.6% feel that the pandemic situation will improve in the next month. This has contributed to another week of record setting in travel readiness and safety. So as mentioned, on April 12th, we launched our 2021 brand campaign, Get Back to a Better Place. The past year has taken its toll on each of us and our audience, both mentally and physically. After months of quarantine, there is tremendous pent-up desire and yearning for travel. As we've seen in the research, our Get Back to a Better Place campaign addresses both the mental and physical benefits of a trip to North Carolina. When you return to those places in North Carolina where you've had so many great moments, you also return to the best version of yourself. We're in a much different place in 2021 than we were in 2019. It's challenging and changing industry times beyond the obvious pandemic. The world is completely without third-party cookies and tracking behaviors, and we're awaiting with mixed solutions, alternative IDs, hashed emails, and ID-free, just what this landscape's going to look like as these third-party cookies are being removed. Media consumption and behaviors continue to fragment and change, especially in the TV space. What and how people will access. There are increased options, Apple, Disney, ESPN, Discovery, etc. Paid versus free options, where and when people watch, at home and on the go, and how people watch. Attention spans, lean back, and multitasking are all affecting this evolving landscape. Using data collected from previous campaigns, we developed a multi-channel paid media plan to reach residents in our core markets looking to rediscover the richer experiences they know and love. We're transitioning back to our core geographic footprint and targeting most of our dollars to reach an out-of-state audience. Budget includes media and NC partnerships from current fiscal, the front half of the upcoming 21-22 fiscal, and also reinvestment of savings. Similar to what we did with our Count on Me NC campaign, funded by the CARES Act stimulus funds, we're using mobile data to reach what we refer to as the bold traveler. So individuals who have shown interest in planning travel and are comfortable getting out and spending time outside of their homes. Here's a snapshot of all the current channels we're using to reach potential visitors with our Inspire messaging. All media will drive to a custom landing page on visitnc.com, where visitors will find inspiration for a perfect North Carolina getaway. And of course, these investments are complemented effectively by our public and media relations efforts, organic social publications like our travel guide, group and sports travel, new meetings and conventions to support our partners, Retire NC, research, film, visitor services, in partnership with Commerce, the NC Department of Commerce, and more. Here's an overview of some of the more prominent places you might see our Inspire messaging. We're driving effective video reach across channels and apps using best-in-class data science to build awareness and inspiration among a re-emerging travel audience. We had great success with this strategy as part of the Count on Me NC campaign, where we saw a 93% arrival lift. And we're running both the 30-second and the 15 in non-skippable placements. And we always blacklist networks and programming to ensure brand safety and align our spots with positive content. So essentially, we don't display this video on any news sites. So I think this is a really great time to share the video if I can. And I'm going to try and pull it up on YouTube. Are you guys able to hear the sound of this video and see the video on YouTube?
We can.
Okay, great. All right, I'll make it full screen, restart. This is our Get Back to a Better Place video. It's the heart of the campaign. We know where it will be appearing. I just went over all that. And now I'm excited to share the messaging. This spot opens on a Papa Bear and his cub, or so we think. As the story progresses, we see a beautiful NC Vista unfold. At the sight of this beauty, our father and son are transformed both mentally and physically. And we end the spot with drone footage from across the state, from Chimney Rock to Lake Norman to Carolina Beach. Knowing the 15 is a short amount of time to tell the full story of the bear transformation, we also created an alternative 15-second that doesn't include the bears. And we're running both the 15s and we'll optimize the rotation based on performance. But I'm going to just show you guys the 30-second right now because it's the whole story. And let's watch it one more time. As mentioned, all the media. Sorry about that. Scott, that YouTube just keeps playing if you don't close it out. As mentioned, all media drives to our new interest page on visitnc.com. Make this full screen again. The page includes new content we developed specifically for this campaign, aimed to inspire and address both the mental and physical benefits of an NC vacation. Among the new articles, we're featuring a variety of unique destinations and experiences across the state, such as cabin rentals, travel by ferry, and exploring urban parks, with more already planned in the pipeline to keep our messaging fresh and timely. Trips that transform landing page is already our second best overall performing page, second only to things to do landing page, and that's a perpetual front runner for us. There's extensive statewide coverage and good engagement referrals to partner sites. All 14 subregions represented across these first 7 articles. More than 80 locations, attractions, and accommodations are featured with corresponding downstream links. Dozens of additional downstream links include restaurants, breweries, shops, museums, signature events, and more. And more than 14,000 downstream clicks were in the first week of the campaign. And several of these pages didn't go live until May 5th. Here's a glance at our print. If you were or still are a fan of the Mad magazine, you may recognize this different approach we've taken here. Remember, the back page included a fold to reveal design. When folded, the imagery and messaging changed. In our example, when we fold this, we see the mother and daughter literally getting back to a better place, and their hands come together, so they're hand in hand walking down this beach. This is where we will be running some of that print, providing participating partners with affordable print bundles across an array of publications, and allowing increased exposure in key markets in tandem with Visit NC branded content is a main goal of ours. You can see these are different market combos that we have here. We also produced a fantastic travel guide this year It's a result of a partnership with Meredith Travel Marketing, whose team does the printing and provides more than 200,000 in added value on the guide and placements, such as Southern Living or Shape magazine. Here's a glance at our digital display, rounding out the consumer funnel with mobile display to further drive destination consideration among our target audience based on active and relevant social behaviors. And here's some more paid social renderings we've got. We increased our investment in paid social to align with consumer trip planning behavior this year. We'll use paid placements on Facebook and Instagram to drive consideration for NC as a travel destination. And we're also reintroducing Pinterest into our media mix. Here is an example of a paid concept we're using in the initial phase of our campaign that shows all of North Carolina's main destinations. It says, visit our epic mountains, visit our cities, visit our beaches, visit them all, visit North Carolina. Another social rendering shows all of the variety that you can experience here in North Carolina. So this one pans through many different photos, telling you to visit North Carolina, visit colorful murals, visit outdoor museums, visit urban parks, et cetera, et cetera. And the post copy here will read, get back to mountain cabins, urban hiking, island getaways, and more and more and more and more.
Dana, hi, this is Rod. I'm sorry to interject, but I just wanted to let you know we're at our time for the meeting. I wondered if we could ask you a couple of questions here. I know you've got more information to share. May we ask a couple of questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for this information. Obviously, tourism is a huge part of our state's economy, and we're grateful for all that you're doing. We did have just a couple of questions here. One from Sal Camarada. Well, what we really want to know, of course, is how you train the bears to get inside the car, but I won't ask you that. I'm going to ask Sal's question, which is historically, what percentage of the tourism dollars we receive come from North Carolina residents versus out-of-state visitors? And how does that look during the last year in comparison?
Yeah, well, we get funded through the state's legislature. The investments that we, the money that comes from visitors goes back into the local government. And I think if I go back up to the slide that compares 2019 to 2020, I think it was $200 and some per day compared to, it went down to like 193 per day as a result of the pandemic. Let me see if I can find that slide really quickly.
I think we were interested too, just in the comparison between out-of-state visitors versus in-state visitors, how that tends to shake out for us.
Yeah, I don't have the specific numbers on in versus out-of-state visitors. All of our advertising is geared towards out-of-state visitors. The first time we ever ran an in-state program was in 2019 when we got funded through the CARES Act to run the safety campaign, which was targeted at in-state and not just travelers, but just in general in-state. We were trying to change the behavior of people in state so that they would wash their hands and wear the mask and stay 6 feet apart. We partnered with DHHS for that safety campaign, but primarily we focus everything out of state. We do have a few partnerships, which I was going to go over a little bit later in the slide with the NC Broadcasters Association and NC Press Association, where we run some advertisements with them focused on in-state, but primarily we are all out of state.
Got it. Well, Dana, thank you again for this information. Again, we're sort of at our time here, but this has been very helpful. Let me ask John Halata to express our thanks on behalf of the club. John.
We thank you, Dana, for sharing with us the focus areas and status of tourism industry. We think North Carolina is a great state and appreciate your work in welcoming others and showing them the many things to see and do here, while both for a visit and for permanent. As a token of our appreciation, we have for you a set of note papers with original sketches of notable scenes in the Cary area drawn by artist Jerry Miller, who is a member of this Rotary Club. Thank you very much, Dana.
Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here today and talk to you about Visit North Carolina. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dana. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Dana.
Back to you, Scott.
Thank you very much, Dana. Great presentation. Looks like we're back open for business, North Carolina. Great to hear it. Thank you again. John, thank you for the thank you. And now we move our attention to next week. Leon Abbas, who just departed here, good timing. We'll have next week's program. Brad Adcock, North Carolina Educational Lottery. Leon asked me to, you might want to bring some dollar bills with you next week. I don't know why, but that's up to you.
Guaranteed winners.
Yes, guaranteed winners. In 2 weeks, what's in 2 weeks? June 29th. Installation banquet. That's right. So we are not meeting during the day. There is no lunch. There is no meeting. It's at 6 o'clock Tuesday night at Prestonwood. Cannot wait. It'll be a blast. And now I've got a final quick announcement that I think is very exciting to me. And it's a pleasure to be able to make this announcement to the club. But we have among us today, and I'm sure you know this, but we've got a very special person who is attending today's meeting, who just happens to be one of our founding members of this club. Everybody knows this club was started in when? 1964. We have two, one here in person, another one is on Zoom or thereabouts. But I would call attention to every member in this club to take note that on June 18th, which is 3 days from now, these people will celebrate, these members, these illustrious founding members of this club will celebrate their 57th year of membership. Wow. Mr. Ralph Ashworth, could you please stand up? Ralph. And so it's so exciting. And Ralph and Jerry are so engaged and continue to help our club in every way they can. And to be able to celebrate 57 years, this club wouldn't be what it is today without these guys. So if you get a chance on your way out, give them a high five, shake their hands, say thank you for everything you've done. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you very much. And so finally, Mike, thanks for coming today. Appreciate it. We hope you come again next week. I know, Darren, we'll take care of that, but we're happy that you're here today. We hope to see you again. And thank you for being here. And so as we finish up today's meeting, could I ask Frank Shell to come out and to lead us out in the four-way test? Ralph, Frank, you can do it right there. That's fine. That's fine.
It's true. It's fair and all concerned. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Meeting adjourned. Have a great week, everybody.